Alright, we're on the road to Mexico City. We got on it just fine. And, of course, being on the road to Mexico City, it makes me think about other times Europeans were on the road to Mexico City, as it were. The first time was Hernando Cortes. He landed back in Veracruz and hung around the Zzzptm Islands, got a 6-foot wide disc of gold and a 6-foot wide disc of silver, burned his ships and said, we're going to go forward. And he and his guys hiked on in. Now, they didn't have this fine quota that we're driving on. They didn't even have the horrible road we had going into Zzzptm. They had rough country and were cutting a path on their own. Going up into the mountains where the passes are up in the clouds, and then coming down out of those into valleys that were just full of corn and people. It had to have been amazing because the population of Europe itself was rather sparse. And then they come here to Mexico, where it was an incredibly dense population, one of the highest population densities in the world, almost as dense as China, right here in Mexico. And when Cortes made his way, he fought a battle in an area called Tlaxcala, and because he defeated that army and they were enemies of the Aztecs, they decided to join with him. He goes on to a city called Cholula, and in Cholula the Aztecs tried to capture him. At least that's his story, and that's his justification for massacring all of them. Another version goes that the Aztecs were just being nice and offering him food and clothing and service, and he decided to massacre them all just to make a point. You know, there's two sides to every story, I guess. But because of the Spanish success, both in fighting the Tlaxcalans and in the terror they inflicted with their massacre at Cholula, the Aztecs under Montezuma were a bit cautious about wanting to take them on head-to-head. And certainly Montezuma himself felt that the Spaniards, with their white faces and especially the golden hair and beard of Pedro de Alvarado, were emissaries from the gods, with Montezuma thinking that he didn't want to mess with them at all. And that's how the Spaniards are able to get into Mexico City.